Breaking news with Based and Bougie. So, guys, I saw this debate trending all over X. Is a GB News debate. You guys know GB News has the most entertaining debate, and it's basically between a lady who is a political commentator called Fahima Mohammed and Matt Goodwin. And this was in light of Keir Starmer coming out and saying that he's doing everything that he Keir Starmer, like, shut up. Like, just shut up. So Keir Starmer, we all know he's now tried to come out and say he's doing everything to tackle mass migration. And, you know, he said how they've deported already 24,000 people. Keir Starmer, we know you're lying. Stop lying. Because if you was really tackling mass migration, you wouldn't have arrested those people for tweeting that we needed to mass deport. Okay, there's currently a lady, she is currently sitting in jail, and she served 284 days in jail for tweeting mass deportation after the Southport riots. And this is the same man that is saying, oh yeah, we care so much about mass migration and we're trying to tackle it. If you're really trying to tackle it, release Lucy. But before I begin, guys, if you guys want true journalism, like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's get into this debate.
Matt Goodwin, the messaging behind there, despite the fella's tone, do you agree with it? Is their plan working?
No, of course it's not working. Keir Starmer and Labour's plan is riddled with problems, riddled with holes. The small boat numbers as a start are up nearly 50% on the same time last year. They're up nearly 80% on the same time in 2023. We don't have a viable plan. We don't have a deterrent. We're giving too much welfare to people who are breaking our laws. But then we've got Keir Starmer and Labour communications directors in number 10 running around trying to basically mislead the British public. They're basically gaslighting the country, claiming they're getting control of this crisis when they are very visibly not doing so. And to be honest, Michelle, I haven't said this before, I'm actually worried about what Keir Starmer and the Labour government are doing to trust in the system and trust in democracy, because they're claiming they're dealing with this issue, but the numbers are going through the roof, and it's a British taxpayer who is having to pay the associated cost, £15 billion over the next 10 years.
And that's this is the thing that's so insulting about Keir Starmer trying to lie to our face, is that people like myself who actually work in this industry, I can tell you for a fact, obviously I can't tell you too much, but I can tell you for a fact, guys, it is not going down. The numbers are not going down. It is skyrocketing. It's skyrocketing with Katy Perry in Mars, when she went to Mars and she was holding that flower. That's how, you know, how much is increasing. So why are they trying to lie to us? I don't know. I think Keir Starmer and the Labour Party, they're so out of touch, and they actually believe that us, the public, are dumb.
Hotel and accommodation costs, and Keir Starmer's not being truthful with them about this.
Did you have any truth? Did you have any trust, should I say, in democracy and politicians at the start of this to erode? I don't know, get in touch and tell me your thoughts. Fahima, your thoughts?
Well, I think, you know, the problem here is Labour used to be the party of the people. Now it seems to be the party of the professionals, and it's copying reform. Instead of leading, it's chasing, and it's mimicking things that people did not vote for them in the first place.
No, I agree with that. Labour is doing this now because they saw the way, you know, reform completely defeated them. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but in the recent elections that happened, they put out a poll that said reform, Conservatives, the Green parties, and other, meaning Labour was put in the category of other, meaning it's become irrelevant. So of course they're now trying to copy reform strategy, and it's just like, why do you think us, the public, are dumb enough to think we're not seeing what you are doing? Like,
that is the real problem. And also, it's not just about the fact that they're not actually clamping down on immigration. There are so many other issues that needs to be raised, which the Labour Party stands for, like welfare, education, the NHS. We've got so much shortage of skilled people to fill in even the NHS with over 100,000 vacancies. And, you know, expenses are still high. They're targeting very vulnerable people at the moment. And it's not the way to go, you know, across by just basically coming off the back of the by-elections of what they think that the people want, which is just reform.
Fahima, two things happened this week. Firstly, we learned immigration is the #1 issue in this country.
Only because that's the only thing being told and spoken about.
Okay. So this is what's interesting, Michelle. This is the left narrative.
No, it's not. I'm not the left?
We're all.
Why do you call me the left?
Can I finish? We're all talking about immigration, and that's the reason.
We're not all talking about immigration.
Can I finish? We're all talking about immigration. That's why immigration is the number one issue, as opposed to it's nothing to do with the record numbers of people who are actually coming into our country. And the second thing we've learned this week is 85% of Brits want net migration reduced below 100,000, and nearly half the country want zero migration.
And this is the thing, every single time I put up posts about migration and how mass migration is getting out of hand, I always get comments like, oh, but we have bigger fish to fry, we have biggest problems. No, all the problems are starting with migration. Honestly, guys. And this is what, this is where I get so discombobulated, where people try to make it about race. I'm a black woman. And I can tell you now, I'm even affected by this. My ability to ever buy a home is gone now. It's gone because, the prices of houses have skyrocketed. And the reason why they skyrocketed is because we have people being imported in the millions. It's just basic supply and demand. Okay? When the demand goes up, when the supply goes up, what am I saying, guys? Forget I ever said that, guys. I don't know why I'm confusing myself, but you get what I'm saying. We have so many people in this country, and that's why they are increasing the prices of the house to the millions now. You literally see apartments in central London going for millions. So everything is about mass migration, and that's why people keep discussing it, because it is a huge issue.
Acting as though Keir Starmer is kind of speaking up for this mad extreme fringe. Most people in this country want less immigration. It's not that hard.
I'm telling you guys, most people that I speak to, whether they say it openly or whether they keep their opinion to themselves, they can admit that this country has gone too far. I saw this clip of a black man basically saying that this country has become unrecognizable. I'm going to insert it here.
I'm sorry, but this new generation of immigrants, migrants, asylum seekers that come here and start practicing their culture need to get deported ASAP. If you ain't coming to England to drink tea and crumpets, to pay your taxes, to take your money, put in savings and put a mortgage in a house in England, fuck off. Like, it's getting culturally expensive, financially expensive. Man can't even sit on the train. Like, you get me? Man's seeing bare shops with bare squiggly writing. Like, what's going on, cuz? Yeah, the standards of the country are going down. One thing you can say about English people, no matter what atrocities they've had, is they've got standards, bro. And like, they've convinced the English people to not even be proud to be English, bro. That could never run in any other country, bro. Are you crazy?
So this doesn't just affect white people, so it blows my mind when I see these very ignorant comments from people in my DM saying, oh, you just want to be white, you're a king. What does this have to do about being white? This has to do about me. I want to buy a home. I want to be able to book an appointment and in peace, okay? I want to be able to see English at the train station,
Sorry, now I really do feel that you are basically trying to talk for everyone when it's not the case. Everywhere else, they do not just only mention immigration. It is much more. It's the only rhetoric that I hear from people like yourself, and I'm not calling you far right or right or anything, so don't call me that, because there's certain things that I even agree with when it comes to the other side. It's not about that. We have to do so much more to get this country back in order than just immigration, and that's not going to erase any of the economics and the problems that are there.
So
it is really not that. It's just what you want to raise and everyone else.
And as I say, it's the number one issue in the country. That's the British people.
Because that's the telescope right now.
Yeah, and that's what people on the left do. They just spew things out, but yet she still hasn't listed anything that she deems to be more important than mass migration. She's just saying there's so many issues, can you break it down for us? And that's what the left do. They don't really have information. They just have opinions and statements, but they don't have information and facts.
That's the British people who are saying we don't want to have to deal with these record numbers of people, many of whom are breaking our laws. And it's the British people who are watching this show who are being asked to pay £15 billion over the next 10 years, 5 million a day for hotels and accommodation. You talk about economics. How about we take that 15 billion by fixing the illegal migration crisis? And how about we have 10 new hospitals for the British people. Why don't we do that?
Well, why can't we also fix the processes in the first place? It's been so long where people are waiting for their immigration status. They are not actually being processed properly. We don't have the staff. We do not have all of that. But all everyone is talking about, like as if it's just the migrants' fault.
Right, I'm going to give you guys some tea, right? People who are coming here to work, I think the initial price for them to have a right to work, even if they had a degree, was 3,000. That price has gone up to 5,000 now. So a person who has a degree, whether it's a teacher, a doctor, their ability to come into this country has basically been lowered because the price has increased for them. Whereas you have migrants who are coming here for free, £0, and they're having 2,000, 1,800, 2,000 just given to them like that. So for this woman to sit here and say, oh no, but there's people who can come and contribute and work in the hospitals and da-da-da-da-da, how can they work in the hospitals when it costs them an arm and a leg just to come into the country and work here? People don't have a clue about what's really going on in the system. They don't have a clue. To them, it's just like, oh, but they contribute. No, that's not how it works, guys. I'm telling you guys, the people who are actually coming here to contribute, they are making it difficult for them. They are making it. I know people, I know friends who they've found it very difficult to come here just to simply work. And then you have other people who are just coming here, don't do nothing for free and get every benefits in the world.
There's the smugglers. There's the fact there's also foreign policy that plays a part. It is not just people that are coming there and all of them are criminals as you think, because they're not arrested when they arrive. They are there because they seek refuge, because some of them, are probably not here.
Yeah, again, this is the other talking point, that they're seeking refuge. Guys, I need us to use our brains, right? Most people who are seeking refuge are coming from Middle Eastern countries and they're coming from African countries. How are they making that journey from the Middle East all the way up to Europe? How are they making that journey? It's impossible. It's impossible. If 1 million people try to make that journey, probably 10,000 would actually survive if they were seeking refuge. Is when you're going into the country in survival mode, in a small dinghy, in a small boat, survival mode. But these people are coming in professionally. They're coming in planes. And when they do come in, let's continue, guys.
Here just for the right reasons, but majority of them are, and you cannot just put all of them in one sort of scope.
Like the
as what you say.
Iranian terrorists last week, who we discovered
Again, you're going to pick on one thing and say it's about everyone. It's so easy for you to do that and brush everyone under the same carpet when it's not like that. You cannot do that, and it's not fair to do and to say that if minorities...
And that's another thing they do when it comes to mass migration. It's like you see people on the right. They're just talking about economics. They're talking about supply and demand. They're talking about infrastructure. They're talking about things that logically make or do not make sense. And then you have people on the right, they come in with these very emotional talking points. But you can't say all those nasty things about them. It's not nice. It's like speaking to a child. Do you understand? And people can't understand that. Nothing to do with prejudice. This has nothing to do with belittling a certain group of people. This has everything to do with just infrastructure. But infrastructure is too small and it's not moving at the same rate as the number of people coming in. That's it, full stop. It's not about, and that's what they do. They use these emotional talking points to kind of redirect the conversation and make the person look bad for talking about it.
Minorities are actually causing those things. It applies to everyone.
I hear you endlessly talk about fairness. My question is very simple. What about what is fair for the British people who are supporting this entire system? They are the ones who are having to pay the cost of this. And
so I'm telling you, it's always about fairness this and fairness that. What about our fairness? What about our fairness? And the worst thing about it is that you will see ethnic minorities like myself, black women, Asian women, they're actually out in the streets protesting for more migrants. Do you not realize that you are protesting for your own demise? Your own demise. You're looking at your bank account and you're realizing you can't save nothing. Bread is getting too expensive. Pads is getting too expensive. Buying shoes for your clothes is getting too expensive. And you're still out on the streets protesting for more migrants to come in. You are protesting for your own demise. Okay, so people keep saying it's not fair for the migrants. I hear it, but it's also not fair on us that we have to keep paying thousands every year to I'm not being funny, and I'm not saying this to say, I'm saying this because I work in this industry, guys. I work in this industry, guys. I work in this industry, guys. Majority of these people, they're not contributing. I'm telling you that for free.
You're saying we have 160,000 people who have entered this country illegally. Their first act on entering this country is to break the law. Those people should be taken outside of the UK. They should be processed offshore, like the Rwanda plan would have done. It wasn't perfect. It needed changes. We should have processed them offshore, away from the British people, because now we have this absurd situation where this is not fair. The state is now taking British taxpayers' money, giving it to private companies like Serco, who are outbidding the British people in their own housing market to give more favourable contracts to illegal migrants and asylum seekers. You talk about fairness. My question is, how is that fair?
This is the perfect example of what I meant by people on the right. They speak about economics, infrastructure, business, black and white, logic. That's it. Watch her. She's going to come with a very emotional talking point. Just watch. I know it.
They are not doing that for everyone. At the end of the day, you have to understand they are all not criminals. They are all not here living in hotels. They all don't have the benefits like you think.
He never said that. He never said that. He never once said in this interview, all are criminals. See what I mean? They come with the emotional talking points. Sorry, guys, I know I'm eating like I haven't eaten all day.
A lot of them are wanting to work. They're just not given the process to do that. They are also needing to
Do you think they should be allowed to work?
Well, if they are going through a process and they are actually filling the sort of criteria that meant to be, because at the end of the day, every country has taken a certain amount. I do not think that it should be overly exaggerated with regards to everyone being criminal, everyone here being economic migrants, and they are just here to cause havoc. There are so many of them that are actually also fleeing because of the foreign policies that we have to do.
Safe and legal routes?
Because there are none.
Of course there are.
There are none. There are none, and they're not really.
Listen, most of the migrants that are coming from Palestine, Afghanistan, Syria. Dubai is right there. Qatar is right there. If I was fleeing for my life, I would not travel to Scotland. I would travel to Hyde Park before I go to Scotland. What? I would travel to Ireland before I went to Scotland. I would travel to Liverpool, Manchester before I went to Scotland. So somebody help me make sense of the fact that how are these people who are seeking refuge, as in their life is at stake, but yet they are making the longest journey possible? Oh, you guys are not
doing that.
I don't know, 300,000 refugees over the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, we have to understand that they are doing what they feel that they can. They don't have the means all of the time to come through certain...
Everybody should just do what they want.
No, it's not. There should be tougher sort of legal processes here, done quicker. And they also need to be much more tougher laws with regards to making sure that they are not all seen like how you say, which they're not. Otherwise, they will be charged and imprisoned when they land. They're not charged and imprisoned because they're not seen as criminals. They are seen as someone who needs refuge. So we need to be able to process that. I don't believe that the boats is the best way to come. Obviously, it's causing so much damage when it comes to people losing their lives. It's not obviously the legal route. But at the same time, if you are fleeing and you are needing help and you wanting it, just because we're sitting here and we don't have those...
She keeps using the term fleeing. She keeps using the term refugee. She keeps insinuating that these people's lives are at stake. Okay, if your life is at stake, why would you make the longest journey of safety rather than the quickest journey of safety? Maybe it's because they are not fleeing. Maybe it's because their life is not at stake. Like I said, if I was fleeing an attack, why would I travel to Scotland before I did Croydon? It makes no sense. The only thing that would make me travel to Scotland before I did Croydon or Liverpool is if there was something there in Scotland that was beneficial to me. And that's what the UK is to these refugees. They are just here for the benefits. The benefits, that's all it is.
you know, those kind of experiences, or we don't know of people that have, it's so easy to just criminalize them and make them all when they are actually also very vulnerable.
Your starting point is always, what about the rights and the sense of fairness for people who are coming from outside of the country who are breaking our law? I'm sorry,
they're not all breaking the law. They're not all breaking the law.
You live in some fantasy land.
No, you live in a very different land.
The British culture is based on the notion of fair play, which is if people come into the country...
Which is humanitarian as well, refuge. And it's also Christian.
That's another thing that leftists do, they never let people speak.
To also not be so hostile like you and talk like you and put everyone in that sort of boat like they are.
300,000 refugees in recent years, and you're sat there saying that we are not humanitarian. What planet are you living on?
I'm saying what you're saying now is not humanitarian.
What, that we should control our own borders? That's not right.
I'm saying that we should obviously control our own borders.
Right.
No one's saying that we shouldn't.
You are.
But the way you're saying it, you're taking me out of context. I'm saying the way you're...
Guys, I can't watch this. I can't continue watching this because she's just using emotional talking points. Again, British values is based on fairness. And the fact that she keeps insinuating, people like her keep insinuating that British people are not fair anymore because they finally reached their peak of tiredness of mass migration. And I disagree with that. I think the British people are the most fair people, are the most kind people, because look at the billions of people they've basically invited into their land. Okay, but it gets to a point where enough is enough. When your country no longer looks recognizable, you can't even see English at a train station. Okay, people are imposing blasphemy laws, even though this is a Christian country. People are teaching books, removing Easter from flipping schools. Yeah, now they've reached their peak. I would reach my peak too. But anyways, guys, like I said, mass migration, every day people try to make it about race, prejudice. It's not fair. It's not fair. It has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with the fact that the infrastructure of this country is not moving at the same rate as the number of people coming in. And if you are going to come in, contribute, assimilate, integrate. That's it, full stop. But anyways, guys, if you guys want more videos like this, like, comment, and subscribe.